Most people think winners are different, smarter, more talented, more confident. They are wrong. The real difference is much quieter than that. Winners are not extraordinary because of what they feel. They are extraordinary because of what they repeat. There is one habit that separates them from everyone else. They show up. Not once. Not when it is convenient. Not when they are inspired. They show up consistently. And consistency is not glamorous. In fact, it is boring. It looks like repeating the same action. On days when nothing seems to change. It looks like doing small tasks. When no one is watching. It looks like effort without applause. Most people underestimate this because they are addicted to intensity. They want dramatic breakthroughs, sudden transformations, visible leaps forward. But real progress does not work that way. Progress compounds quietly, and the habit of returning, again and again, is what triggers that compounding effect. Winners understand something that most people ignore. Motivation is unreliable. You will not always feel driven. You will not always feel confident. You will not always feel ready. If your progress depends on how you feel, you will live in cycles of starting and stopping. The average person starts strong. They feel energized. They feel certain. They feel excited. Then the excitement fades. And when it fades, so does their effort. This is where separation begins. Because winners do not ask how they feel before acting. They ask what needs to be done. There is a massive psychological shift in that difference. Feelings are temporary. Commitment is intentional. When you base your actions on emotion, you surrender control. When you base your actions on decision, you reclaim it. The habit that separates winners is simple. They keep promises to themselves, especially the small ones. When they say they will train, they train. When they say they will study, they study. When they say they will build, they build. Even when it is inconvenient. Even when it feels repetitive. Even when progress is invisible. This is the uncomfortable truth. Success is built in the invisible phase. In the early mornings. In the quiet evenings. In the mundane repetitions. Nobody praises that phase. Nobody celebrates it. But that is where identity is formed. Every repeated action reinforces a belief. When you act consistently, you begin to see yourself as disciplined. When you skip and quit frequently, you begin to see yourself as unreliable. Over time, behavior shapes identity, and identity shapes destiny. This is why the habit of consistency is so powerful. It changes how you see yourself. At first, you force yourself to show up. Later, you don't need to, because showing up becomes who you are. Winners are not superhuman. They are aligned. Aligned with routine. Aligned with responsibility. Aligned with repetition. They understand something critical. Intensity is temporary. Consistency is permanent. Anyone can work hard for a week. Few can work steadily for years. The world rewards the second group. The mind, however, resists repetition. It craves novelty. It craves excitement. It craves stimulation. That is why most people abandon their goals. Not because they are incapable, but because they are bored. They mistake boredom for failure. Boredom is not failure. Boredom is the gateway to mastery. Once you move past boredom without quitting, you enter a different level. You stop chasing stimulation. You start refining skill. This is where winners live. Not in motivation, not in emotional highs, but in repetition. Consider this. One day of effort changes nothing. 1 week creates momentum. 1 year reshapes a life. But only if you continue. Stopping resets everything. Restarting is always harder than continuing. And yet most people are trapped in restart cycles. They begin. They stop. They begin again. Each time draining confidence. Each time reinforcing inconsistency. Winners avoid this trap. They remove negotiation from their routine. There is no daily debate. There is no emotional bargaining. There is only execution. They reduce decisions. They eliminate excuses. They create structure. Structure protects progress. When you rely on willpower alone, you burn out. When you rely on systems, you endure. The habit that separates winners is not heroic effort. It is boring reliability. It is calm persistence. It is doing what needs to be done, without drama. And here is the deeper layer. Consistency reduces fear. Why? Because action builds evidence. When you show up repeatedly, you prove to yourself that you can. Confidence is not built by affirmations. It is built by evidence. Evidence comes from repetition. You don't become confident before acting. You become confident after proving yourself consistent. That proof accumulates quietly. And one day, you realize something has changed. You no longer struggle to show up. You no longer question your ability, because your behavior has answered the question. This is where separation becomes visible. The consistent person looks naturally disciplined, but discipline was built slowly, brick by brick, day by day. Winners are simply those who refuse to break the chain. They did not skip because they were tired. They did not quit because progress was slow. They did not disappear when motivation faded. They stayed, and staying is rare. Staying when no one notices. Staying when nobody applauds. Staying when results are quiet. That habit, the habit of staying, is the dividing line. It separates potential from performance, dreamers from builders, starters from finishers. The truth is uncomfortable. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they lack consistency. And consistency is available to anyone. It does not require talent. It does not require intelligence. It requires decision. A decision to return tomorrow. A decision to continue today. A decision not to quit this time. If you build that habit, you become dangerous. Not because you are loud, not because you are flashy, but because you cannot be stopped by mood. And someone who is not controlled by mood cannot be easily defeated. That is the habit, the quiet one, the overlooked one, the uncelebrated one, showing up again and again and again. That is what separates winners from everyone else.